What's up, guys? Welcome back to Burn the Ship, the podcast that inspires entrepreneurs to go on all in and connects them with the professionals that can help them do it. I'm your host, Kellie.
And I'm Jordin.
And today our guest is Noelle, and she is with Performance Canine, and she's going to tell us a little bit about herself and her business. Thank you so much for coming in with us today, Noelle.
Thanks for having me. This is
Yeah.
fun. I'm excited. My first podcast officially. So I'm owner-operator of Performance Canine. It's a dog training company that I started in 2019. I specialize in basic obedience because that's what most clients are going to need. And then after that is behavioral. I'd say behavioral is probably going to be more of my bread and butter as far as getting clients in, because most people can teach their dog how to sit, stay, lay down, walk on a leash. But it's when we start to struggle with our dogs in public, at home, with hyperactivity, anxiety, aggression issues. We've got this whole pandemic puppy. You kind of see that a little bit later in there. But just working on behavioral stuff. And then, again, I like to move in from, we do our obedience, we get our behavioral done, and moving into giving our dogs a job. So I do a lot of sports. So I try to bring in a job for the dogs. I work in this area in the Acworth, Dallas, Temple, Bremen, Smyrna, you name it. I'm traveling all around.
So when did you start kind of learning how to train dogs? Where are you from? What'd you do before this? Give us a little bit of background on you.
So I came from customer service. I bartended for a really long time. That's why I'm a good dog trainer.
Story of my life.
If you can handle drunks, then you can handle dogs.
Oh, yeah. The dogs are easier.
Yeah. But you got that voice, the voice you were talking about, when you really got to get onto them.
I like how you called it the mommy voice.
Yes.
I'm not a mom, but I mean, I would say
Our
it's about the same.
Our dogs are our moms. Or we're the dog moms.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when I'm talking to him, my mommy voice comes out.
Yes. So bartending, and then the customer service aspect, because I did retail for a while as well. So because I don't train dogs. I show dogs what to do, and I train people. So that dynamic and being able to interact with people, be able to explain to the humans in different ways how to train their dog is really what your job is as a dog trainer. I have always been a dog lover, animal lover. I've played with critters. I was like big tomboy when I was a little girl, and I've always had animals. I got started with a problem Rottweiler. His name is Killian. He had every single behavioral issue that you could think of, and I didn't want to give up on him. I didn't think anybody else could or would put the time into training him. I felt like he'd either be euthanized or be like locked outside if someone else were to take him, just because his behavioral issues, he had a lot of aggression issues. And so I went through everything that you can think of trying to alleviate and manage his aggression issues. So he was the inspiration of me becoming a dog trainer, because I had to learn through him. Mm-hmm. And then I decided that I didn't want to have an office job or a regular job, waiting tables and bartending. I just couldn't sit in an office all day. It wasn't for me. So I ended up getting certified in 2011, and working in rescue was really helpful, because that's a lot of behavioral issues, and it's kind of similar to my Rottweiler as far as figure it out. You're getting this dog from the shelter, and I did Rottweiler rescue and trying to integrate them with an already aggressive dog that I had in the house, my other dogs, my cats, but doing foster work. I always tell people, if you want to get into training, do fostering. And fostering is really crucial to help rehome and rescue dogs because you're that home in between the shelter and their forever home. Mm-hmm. And they can't pull more animals out of the shelter if they don't have a place for them to go. So,
And I guess doing fostering, you get experience with a bunch of different kinds of dogs too.
yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You get really nervous dogs, the hyperactive dogs. You get aggressive dogs. You get sweet dogs. You get the dogs that you want to keep. You get the dogs that you're ready for them to go. You're
I feel like that would be the hardest part is wanting to keep them.
yeah. So you just, actually, the easiest way to deal with that is you just get rid of your husband.
There you go.
And you can have as many dogs as you want.
Absolutely. And that's what the people need to hear. No need for men. You've got your dog.
Yeah, so
There you
it
go.
was easy when I fostered because I had someone kind of regulating my intake of animals. So
Yeah,
but
that makes sense.
Yes.
So what that Rottweiler just kind of puts you on to developing the skills
Yes.
in order to train?
So Rottweilers have docked tails. So we're talking about body language. They have docked
Right.
tails. They have floppy ears and they're black. So they don't really show a lot of body language. And Rottweilers in general are a little bit like more silent communicators. So I had to become hypersensitive to body language with him because he wasn't just going to snap. Like it was a vet visit if something went down. So you learn, because you don't want to deal with that again, to really be aware of what's going on. But yeah, my problem child got me into dog training.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it takes a lot of respect because I know I have a lot of controversy surrounding my child. And I have a blue-nosed pit bull. And I mean, he wasn't difficult to raise, but it's the humans around us.
And he's an angel.
And he is absolutely wonderful. I mean, he has never bit another dog. He runs away from fights. We've been at a dog park, no leashes, no
He's
nothing.
a mama's boy. I've
And-
definitely seen that.
Oh, yeah. But there'll be full-blown dog fights, and Tito was right next to it. Yes, I named my dog Tito. Yes, it's after the vodka.
I had a moment. I just kept going with it.
Hey, whatever. He's cool. That's why he's Tito. And like full-blown dog fights, not on leashes, and he runs away and hides under my legs. I'm like, Tito, you are a blue-nosed pit. You should, like, the stigma around pits, you should be the one that starts the fight. But that's always my issue, is having him out in public. I'm never worried about him. I'm worried about the dogs that are around him, because at the end of the day, if a dog gets bit and my dog is there, my dog's going to get the blame for it. I'm going to get the blame for it because my dog is a pit bull. So it takes a lot to just be able to manage dogs in general, especially those breeds like Rottweilers and Pits and
like
some
German Shepherds. Because it was hard for us
All
to
of
get
those.
house insurance because of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a really hard time. I'm looking to buy a house right now, and
I
so
offer
many
a
people.
CGC program. Does pretty well with that. It's Canine Good Citizen.
Deal.
So
Okay,
it's
I'll
a
definitely be contacting you for
certification.
that.
It tends to do a little bit better with insurance purposes, and if anything were to happen, you've got that little title after. So anyone who goes through my classes, they're all from the American Kennel Club. It's the Canine Good Citizen. It's a certification program. They test at the end of each of the 6-week courses. So beginner, intermediate, and advanced obedience, you get a certification for each one that you can register your dog through the CG or the AKC, which is the American Kennel Club. And it holds some weight in court. It's a great way to start if you want to get into therapy or service work. But I tell all of my clients, like, you can keep your paper and your ribbon. Don't worry about it. But if you've got a bully breed or a guard breed, you should definitely register your dog. Pay the extra $20 for it to be on file that your dog has had training and it's Canine Good Citizen, right?
So it's basically saying, like, don't worry, I'm a good dog.
Yeah, it's proving that your dog has done training, it's been evaluated, and it's passed a series of tests. Part of it is sit politely for petting, accepting a friendly stranger, reaction to another dog, supervised separation, and then basic obedience commands. So it's showing that your dog does well in public is the benefit of the CGC program.
Okay, yeah. So what program did you get certified through?
So I initially got certified through Animal Behavioral College. I just saw it was on Animal Planet. They kept pushing it. They have a couple of courses. It was grooming, dog training, vet tech, and now they have like cat training, which is kind of cool. Don't think I ever want to do it, but it's interesting.
It's a good idea.
Yeah. Cats need I always kind of like feel like if we treated cats like we treat dogs, they probably wouldn't be such,
Annoyances.
A-holes.
I was going to say it. I didn't know where we were at on on the podcast. But I started through them. So part of that is it's curriculum book work and test work. And then you have to work with a rescue or a shelter. I worked with Cobb County Animal Shelter, which that's way harder than foster work. Like you come, that's a shelter. It's a busy shelter. It's a county run shelter. It's a kill shelter. And people kind of like harp on kill shelters, but they're a necessity and they have to take your dog. So if all of us bring our dogs in, they have to take them in. So if we bring in 4 dogs, the 4 dogs that are in there that didn't get adopted, we got to make room for the new ones. They've already been here.
Oh my God.
So that's the hard part about the shelter, but that's the good thing of the rescues and working through them. So I learned a lot and I trained the shelter dogs, and then you have a mentorship that you go through. That's like 6 or 8 weeks of working under someone. But I would say I learned a lot more doing the foster and rescue work.
Yeah, it is difficult though. I volunteered with a woman named Sherry. She works for the Cherokee. I think so. She works for the Cherokee Humane Society. You know Sherry? Yeah. Okay, she's incredible.
I've fostered a lot of dogs through her.
Yeah, and I have... Is
that where you sent Dansby the email?
Yes, yeah, and we're not going to disclose any of that information because I don't want anybody else to know that. But yeah, it's very difficult seeing dogs that have been abused. So when I walk into her home, she shelters like 20 dogs at a time and a few cats at her own home.
Bless her heart.
Yeah, it's incredible. And she was telling me,
my dogs are being so bad right now. I'm so sorry.
They're being good.
They're angels. And she was telling me that her entire life she would come home if she was like playing around the streets with her friends, and she'd always come home with an animal. And her parents are like, no, don't bring home any more dogs. We have 5. Like, stop bringing these dogs home. And she said that she just felt a stronger connection to animals than she did with people. And it's nuts because my older brother is the exact same way. He's super introvert, but with animals, he's like all in and like absolutely obsessed with dogs, cats, any sort of animal he loves. And it takes a special kind of person to be able to go in and do that work and deal with the dogs that have these issues, because they don't just come up. Like, they're not born with these issues. And that's just my perspective. People can disagree. I don't believe that dogs are born with
I'm going to touch on that then.
Anger. I don't believe that they're with pit bulls. People say that they are aggressive and X, Y, and Z, and I don't believe in that. I think that it is the experiences that you go through just like a person. With the trauma that you get put through comes out with their behavior. If they're abused, then they're going to be scared or they're going to be angry, and they're going to have the same sort of traits that a human would if they're abused and all of that. So touch on what I just said.
So you have nature versus nurture. So genetics play a huge role in how our dogs act. So one of the stigmas of pit bulls. So now let's talk about pit bulls. A pit bull there's the American Pit Bull Terrier. That's a purebred dog.
Yeah.
When you go to the shelter, every bully breed mix is labeled a pit bull. It could be Amstaff Boxer, American Bulldog. So you're taking all of these breeds, smashing them together, and then giving them breed characteristics, which you can't do that. So one of the things we talk about is like, so if a heeler bites and at the heels and tries to herd the children, and a hound chases the scent, those are genetics, right?
Well, yeah.
So we try to say that that's not true of a dog that was bred to fight, right? So these are Catahoulas, right? Catahoula leopard dogs. They are prone to aggression. They are hunting dogs. So we'll go back to nature versus nurture. I knew with these dogs that they are prone to animal aggression and human aggression. I over-socialize them as much as possible. Now, you saw, like, Darla has a little bit of stranger danger. That is her breed characteristic. And I've done everything the same between the 2 dogs. And Driver's a lot more social. So it's not to say that they are inherently aggressive, but they are going to be more likely to have aggression issues.
Yeah.
And that's where your nature versus nurture. And that's where everyone, when they're talking about, it's how you raise them. Well, they're going to be predisposed to aggression depending on the line that you have, right?
Yeah.
So it's trying to make sure you over socialize and making sure that you got your mom voice, that you're in charge. Your dog knows that you are the leader. We don't really want to use the term alpha, but the term alpha, that your dogs know that you're in control. So what happens with dogs like that is they typically are more dominant.
Right.
So when we want to be soft moms and baby a dog that's prone to being dominant and aggressive, then they are going to be more likely to turn out that way.
Yeah.
As long if we don't have that structure behind it. So you really want to make sure that you are in charge. Your dog knows you're in charge, because a lot of aggression, a majority of aggression is fear aggression. So the fear aggression happens. So if you go outside, I have an insecure dog, and I've made them feel like they're in charge of me by babying them. So when they see a potential threat, they are going to have to be bigger and ward off the threat. So that's where you get some of that reactivity, that aggression. So it's really about making sure that your dog knows that you're in charge and that you will take care of the threats. But the bully breed mixes in general, you're giving a mixed breed dog, and they're calling it a pit bull, right? And then they're saying that they're all aggressive. That's not fair.
Yeah, it's not fair at all. And it really makes me there's very few things that I actually get angry about besides animals. I feel like you have to be a sadistic, absolute F word in order for you to abuse an animal and to talk poorly about, if a dog is being bad, you kind of look at the owner control your dog.
Right. Oh,
but when I'm just walking my dog down the street, for instance, I went to the University of West Georgia, and me and my friend at the time, we were just walking our dogs, and she had a golden doodle. So it's obviously a very hyper, but she was way worse than Tito. Not a good dog. All dogs are good dogs, but very misbehaved. And we were just walking through campus, and group of guys came out of the library right as we were walking past, and we stopped to let them pass by us. And everybody in the group, a few of them were like, "Oh, cute dogs." And then one guy just stopped and stood right in front of me, probably 20 feet from me and Tito, and just stood there and stared at Tito. So Tito got into a stance and just was looking at me because he's a protective dog.
Oh yeah.
Well, direct eye contact is very confrontational.
Extremely. It is for people. Nonetheless for dogs.
That's exactly how I explain a lot of things, is you have to put it in perspective of how a human would react to the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. And he just stood there and stared at Tito. And I was looking at him, and I was looking at Mel, and I was like, what's happening? I have no idea what's going on. And then he walks past me finally, keeping his distance. And he's like, "I'll effing kill that dog." And I had
the
some
stigma
audacity.
that I feel for you.
Yeah, I had some audacity. I turned around and I just freaked
Ripped him a new one
out. I was like, "Try me." My dog doesn't have to fight you. I will. Me being a 5'2" little
all
girl.
About
this guy's 6'5".
I'm all about it.
Don't mess with my dog. But that's a stigma that goes around so many dogs. And it sucks.
Those bully breed mixes, it's funny because you have the two people. You have the people that go directly into a guard breed and hey, how you doing? Because those are the people. And then you have the people who do this. And let me tell you,
it's literally one or the other.
It's really interesting. So the people that are afraid of dogs or the guard breeds, they will trigger guard breeds because their behavior is not normal human behavior.
Oh, that makes sense.
So when they start shying, so it triggered my Rottweiler every time. So they'd start side-eyeing, moving to the side, weird body language, and their guard breeds are bred to pick up on those. You don't look like you belong. You're giving me strange body language. I need to be on alert for you. So it's really funny that people that are afraid of dogs end up triggering dogs. So it's this vicious cycle of continuing to have bad experiences with dogs.
So do you feel like this skill that you've developed with training these dogs, do you think that it has helped your, life? Do you think that the skills that you've learned have translated into your human interaction with people?
Definitely. I think it's like gone back and forth from having like that retail bartending experience to the dogs, because I've always been an animal person. You're a therapist. It's weird. Like it's still like you really have to help people. They get really frustrated with their dogs. Some dogs have to be euthanized. You have to tell them that youth is the best, safest option. That rehome is the best option. So like that empathy with the dogs but I mean, it goes hand in hand the way that dogs communicate with each other and then the way that we communicate with each other. But definitely my skill set, it bleeds all together. Like if I'm able to talk to dogs or about dogs, it's all I do. So my whole life is all dogs all the time. So that's been the benefit of getting out of like the normal world and only having to talk about dogs all the time.
Yeah. So do you think that you want to build your company, or would you prefer for it to just stay you? Do you want to build a company out of it, or?
Yes.
Okay.
So I have an apprentice right now that I'm training right as of now, and I want to start to bring in more apprentices that want to learn and have them work under me, going a little bit more virtual, going that route, but definitely want to build the Performance Canine branch out and have, quote unquote little franchises like, here, you're a trainer and you work under the umbrella of Performance Canine. I really want them to still have like their own identity, and I don't want people to just train the way that I train. And I feel like that in the dog training world is difficult. And y'all know from networking, but like the competitive nature where people are like, let's hold in all of our information. Let's critique everyone else. They don't know what they're doing. And I really want to change that dynamic of like support and building a different type of infrastructure and community within the dog training world. But eventually I'd like my own sports facility is like the goal.
That'd be awesome.
I love dog sports, and there's nothing out here. You have to go north, west, or south. There's no dog training or sports facilities. Obviously, we still do dog training, but I like to do dog sports.
That would be awesome.
The world is, I have 1,000 ideas of what I would like to do.
That's good. That's what you have to do as an entrepreneur. You can't stop moving. It's like,
it's
the only thing is which one's
you
next.
need to have another idea.
You gotta figure out which one's next.
It's that mindset of every entrepreneur. Is just like our owner and CEO, Jay. I mean, he is always.
Well, that's why you have this here.
Constantly learning. Yeah, we wouldn't be a extremely successful local business if it wasn't for him constantly striving for the next thing, a different project all the time. But I mean, it builds. So it's a great thing that you have all these ideas. So I want to know, and I feel like a lot of people that are dog owners want to know, is there a difference in training a puppy, say 6 months, starts getting training, versus my dog that's 4 years old? Is there a different route that you take, or can dogs, like old dogs, don't learn new tricks?
Old dogs
around
definitely learn new tricks. That's
so you could still train
100%.
my dog not to jump on people, because that is his one downfall. He is perfect in every other way, but he does jump on people.
Is it harder?
And that's
though?
my fault.
Yeah, so let's talk about the difference. So a puppy is a fresh slate, right? It's this new being. It doesn't know anything. And you want to start training from the day that they come home. You don't want to wait till 6 months. 6 months is when the neonatal stage ends. And so that's when we are leaving like the learning and development stage and going into them as an adult. And these are ingrained behaviors and those patterns that they create. So
are they dreaming?
I don't know what she's doing. She's always every time I do my live, she's always making noises. So she's like, okay, this is what we do. It's
she
podcast.
wants to be heard.
Yes, she always needs to be heard.
She wants her voice out there.
Yes. But puppies definitely are easier to train within reason. Because, again, you're just showing them the right way and you're molding them and guiding their path. And when you have an adult dog, you have ingrained behaviors.
Right.
Is so we're talking about how I explain things to people, but it's the same thing as people as dogs, as we have our neurons and our dendrites and those pathways, those neural pathways that we connect. So the way that I like to explain to behavioral clients about getting rid of an ingrained behavior is quitting smoking, right? So like you think about, because I quit smoking a while ago and like many, many years ago, but the way I did it was not to smoke cigarettes in the morning and not smoke cigarettes in my car. Right? So those are like those times where you really want a cigarette. And so if you can kind of like get through those, that pathway. When I wake up, I always smoke a cigarette. When I get in my car, I always smoke a cigarette.
Take away when you want it the most.
Yeah, and you work through that. So that's what you're doing with a dog. So especially with like reactivity or excitement, when I see a human, I get overstimulated and I don't know what to do with myself and I jump.
Right.
So you have to retrain that behavior. So trying to re-guide or redirect the neural pathways is what you're doing. So they're really strong and ingrained as an adult dog because they've repeated these behaviors so many times. So now I say it's a chipping away process of getting back.
That makes sense.
Versus never letting a puppy jump on you. Yeah. Right? We don't jump on people. But what's your Tito? So Tito is super cute and he's a pit bull and people jump on him or he jumps on people and he gets petted. So he's rewarded for jumping. So why would he stop?
Very true.
So you have to train the people and train your dog. But yeah, I've trained these guys are 3 and they learned blood tracking this year and I put them on barn hunt this year. So we're always doing something new. My Rottweiler, I had another Rottweiler, Bugs, and I did nose work with my Kelpie and my other Rottweiler, and I would bring him, and he would complain and actually revenge pee in the office when I was running my dogs.
Oh, that's the worst. That revenge pee.
He was the sweetest dog in the whole world, and I never believed in like that anthropomorphizing dogs and like he's revenge peeing. No. Dude was revenge peeing.
Being petty.
Oh, yeah. Well, I feel like dogs do that in general. Like, I know that Tito definitely got pissed as hell when I was at work, when I was bartending. He would tear stuff up in my room when I decided that I was going to be nice and let him out of his cage. I was like, he's going to be a good boy. No, not a good boy. But then as soon as I'm home, if I'm there, he's not going to do anything.
No.
It's just he's pissed when I'm not there, so he tears stuff up. It's just not anymore. When he was a little baby, he did that. Now he's an angel.
So they learn. But he was 8 when I adopted him, and by the time I put him in scent work, he was 10 years old, probably. I don't know how old he was, but I taught him how to find odor at 10 years old.
That was my next question because my German Shepherd's 10. So I don't know, like the older they get, the harder. I mean, like 4 is still an adult dog, but 10's like a really grown dog.
Like senior citizen.
Yeah. So you're getting up there, but definitely I would say if their mind and their body work, then you can train a dog to do whatever.
Okay, I love that.
And especially working with like sports, they want that. And I'll go in and be training younger dogs with an older existing dog, and the older existing dog is like, I can do it too. And so I'm like,
keep up.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, train your young dog, your puppy, but definitely work with your older dog. Like they want that fulfillment too. They like that. They want a job. It's a mental engagement, which is what sports and training does for your dog.
Yeah. So another question that I know my answer, I'm a huge adopt, don't shop person, and people can say whatever they want about it. If I want to get the dog that I want to get, blah, 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 that's fine. But I genuinely believe in adopting instead of shopping because you have the dogs that go into kill shelters. You have the dogs that are abused, and they need homes more than the dogs that you're paying $10,000 for that are.
So I wrote an article on this. So these are purebred. These are NALC, UKC, NKC champion bloodline dogs right here. I got them for a specific purpose. I also have 2 dogs that are rescues.
Yeah, and I mean, I want all dogs to be, even the dogs.
She's complaining about your don't shop.
I'm sorry. I mean, all dogs need a home, but I just believe in not. Oh yeah, she's pissed. For me personally, I think that I'm gonna look at an animal shelter before I look at
like a breeder.
A breeder.
So I'll kind of touch on that too, and kind of go into the article that I wrote. So the reason that purebreds end up in shelters are going to be backyard breeders. Mm-hmm. So anyone that I'm going to be getting a dog from, you will never see their dogs in the shelter. If you can't keep my puppy from my litter when I eventually breed my dog, the puppy will come back to me. Right? There's gonna be contracts on there. There's gonna be health tests. So he's gonna have his OFAs. He's gonna have all of these testing. He's titled. So responsible breeders are spending a lot of money and putting a lot of work in their dogs. They care about preservation of the breed, bettering the breed, and those dogs don't end up in shelters. It's my Rottweiler I got. Craigslist, 5 weeks old, no mom. Dad tried to bite my ex-husband. A ton of behavioral issues,
like a list of things.
Right?
Maybe your dog was trying to bite your ex-husband, like get a divorce.
that was the dad of the dog that my dog. So when we went to go pick him up, so that's a backyard breeder. And he had degenerative joint disorder by the time he was 3 years old. So myriad of health issues and behavioral issues. And I 100% know that guy would have never taken. I paid $200 for him, like you know. So it's like those are the dogs that end up in the shelters.
Yeah,
the well-bred dogs don't end up in the shelters. Totally, like I have rescues. My rescue, I didn't bring my naughty girl. She's got more titles than all of my dogs. I can teach her anything in 5-10 minutes. I love her. I lucked out with her. So like if I have a specific job and a specific dog that I need. So when you go to the shelter, you don't really know what you're getting.
Yeah.
So if you need something specific, that's where purebreds come in, right? So like service work. Think about if you need a dog to do, you have different lines of dogs. So you have labs that go for the blind, and then you have diabetic alert dogs, and then you have like mobility support dogs, PTSD dogs. Those are a little bit better with shelter dogs because they don't have as much task-oriented training that they need to do.
Right.
But you have to have a dog that's going to have a sound, stable temperament that you bring them into, right? You don't know what kind of drive they're going to have. Are they going to end up with aggression issues? Are they going to have like phobias, be afraid of things? People with small kids, you want a dog that you kind of know what it's going to end up being like. So these guys at maturation at 2-3 years old are very prone in pet homes, not working homes, to become dog and or human aggressive at 2 to 3 years old. So like you get a Catahoula or Catahoula mix, you have no idea, it turns 3, and then all of a sudden it's attacking everything. Well, you didn't sign up for that. So you kind of get that same thing when some of these dogs that have the mixes, you don't really know what their temperament's going to be like.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a place for rescue and purebred dogs.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. I mean, I'm getting Tito registered as an emotional support animal, and can't wait for that because I just want to take his little butt everywhere. He's my little baby. But have you noticed a difference in between training the two? Or do you feel like both sides, the purebred and the mixes, they both effectively learn skills the same?
No dog learns skills the same.
Well, yeah, because I mean, they're like
these are litter mates that I have here, which I highly advise against doing, but I'm a professional.
Like brother, sister?
Correct.
Okay.
So there's a thing called litter mate syndrome. That's going to be my topic on my live this week is litter mate syndrome. But they have very different personalities. Like she is more reserved about getting pets. She's definitely more protective. So if I go somewhere sketchy, she's the one in my car. He's gonna be Tito. Driver's gonna be like under behind me, like, oh gosh. But predictability is what you're looking for in training when you get a purebred dog. So when you have hunting dogs, like you want predictability.
Yeah.
Especially when like someone like myself, I'm investing a lot of time, energy, money into these dogs, and then they wash out and I can't use them, especially service work. because it takes about 2 years to train a dog. So you get a rescue dog and, you don't know what their temperament's going to be like. So that's the benefit of the purebred, is for someone who's looking for predictability, I believe.
Right.
And then coat type too, and size, right? You think you got a little tiny puppy and it ends up being giant. And you sign up for it.
Yeah.
So, I love rescues, and I did come from that, right? I worked in the shelter. I watched dogs not be there on after kill day, Monday's kill day on all the shelters. And you go in and they're not there. And that's very difficult. But going into the professional world and the sports world, and I love dog shows. Like as a little girl, like I always compete. I still do it like as an adult. But as the dog's coming through the ring, I try to name the breed before they announce their breed. I love reading about the origins and how they developed the breed. It's super cool to watch, like these guys specifically turn on to hunting. Blood tracking is wounded deer tracking is what we do. So if a hunter goes out and they hit the deer and they don't kill it immediately, then they will call out blood tracking dogs. And it was so cool to watch these dogs immediately take to something they had never done before. And
that comes natural. It's
genetics. It's so cool. But if you're getting a blood tracking dog, a shed antler dog, diabetic alert dogs, I've trained those as well. It's really cool to watch that, because we've genetically modified these dogs to excel at this, and we've handpicked the dogs that do really well at that. So I nerd out and geek out about like the genetic part of it. Yeah. And I love my rescue dogs. Like they've all been wonderful for me.
Yeah, but you're right. If you do want a dog that is going to be a blood tracking dog or a hunting dog, those specific breeds, for sure. That just makes sense. For them to accomplish what you're signing up for.
Yeah, because you're spending a lot of time and money on training them.
Yeah, but for the quarantine dogs, go to a shelter and adopt them. Like, if you don't need them to do a specific task, you want something to love and just to be there with you and something to be your new little baby, then adopt. And if you need them to do a certain task, then go get one.
I have all of both, and I will always rescue, and I will always have purebreds.
Yeah, which is nice that you do a solid even amount.
Yeah, because I came from rescue, and I was like, no, you never get a purebred. And now I show my dogs, and obviously I like pedigree, and I love going and watching just the dogs work and the different breeds. As my dog creeps. Driver, hi. Let's not do that.
He's crawling towards you. That is so cute.
Being a little snake.
Look, I thought I brought the good ones.
They're freaking adorable. They're so
They're
good.
normally not. He's pretty social, but normally they're just like, I'll just lay here.
They're so cute. So if you weren't doing this, what do you think that you would be doing?
Oh my gosh, what would I be doing? I honestly... Still something probably creative, entrepreneur. I don't see myself doing anything entrepreneur. I would stay in the animal industry in some form or fashion. That's a good question.
I think it's good to not have a backup plan, because then sometimes you're going to keep going with what you're doing. If you have a backup plan, you're more likely to leave what you're doing and go to that.
Yeah, 100%.
So, I think you're in the right mind space.
Yeah. Well, there's no way that you're not in the right mind space, because obviously you're super passionate about what you do, and that's super important.
I'm very passionate about it. I enjoy it. It's really important to me. It's all right. Sorry, y'all.
No, you're good.
But I think I just would have to stay in the animal industry.
Yeah.
Because I nerd out. I don't have any chickens now, but the same thing. I love purebred chickens and show chickens. I'm the biggest nerd.
That's hilarious.
That's a cool hobby.
Yeah, but
it's a different one for sure.
They still show chickens. There's purebred chickens. Yeah,
that's nuts. I guess there's purebred everything, right?
Yeah. So I've had
form or fashion.
My favorite breed of chicken is called a salmon favril. It's a French breed of chicken. They have an extra toe. And they have what's called a muff, and that's when their feathers grow.
I was going to ask that. I've heard French chickens, any kind of them are fluffier and they're around their faces.
It's different types. So they'll have extra toes, they'll have hair on their legs. They have different wattles, colors. I had Polishes are really cool. They got the little the little afro.
Maybe that's the one I've seen.
And then I had...
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and they have this... So I could go through all the different breeds
That's
of chickens,
awesome.
too. So I nerd out all the way.
Well, yeah, it's a good thing that you don't know what else you would do because
I'd be a chicken breeder.
You're in the right field. So you said that you have a lecture coming up or
live
podcast live.
So
okay.
I think I'm gonna transition to a podcast, but I do a live every week. It used to just be a question and answer. But it was kind of hard to get content on there and to get that interaction. So I went topic-based. So I've been topic-based for about a month and a half now. Mm-hmm. And that's nice because people can go back and see, okay, I want to watch this versus me rambling on about something.
Yeah.
So I've done fireworks last week so everyone can get prepared for this weekend. Littermate syndrome, spay and neuter. I'll do one on pandemic puppies. I did one about vocalization. So it's all different and it's educational. So my passion comes with education. So a lot of the things that you're talking about, it's not me saying adopt, don't shop or the bully breeds. It's I've researched it vehemently.
Yeah.
And it's not opinion, it's research.
Yeah. So I really go in on it and I want to make the most educated decision because, social media these days is...
full of crap.
Yeah.
Full of a bunch of crap.
Yeah. So when I do that, I really want to make sure that I'm giving, and then so with spay and neuter is something it's a passion of mine. It's on my heart and soul because my 2 dogs I had died from cancer was linked to early spay and neuter. Oh. So, a lot of vets want you to do what's called a pediatric spay and neuter, and that's prior to 6 months or 6 months or before. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of health issues that go with that.
I agree.
So I have to be really careful with my clients versus going with the veterinarian standard now because it is the standard. It's not necessarily education based.
6 months.
So I just tell my clients to do their research. I'll give them a little bit of information and I'll tell them to do their research.
And it can stunt their growth as well. There's a lot of things that go along with neutering your kid too early. Like I know I got rampaged by people telling me to go get Tito neutered when he was 6-7 months. And I was like, nope.
You're really similar to me.
Not gonna happen.
You'd be a good dog trainer. But I'm like,
well, you need to
talk about my dog's balls. Bring it. I'll educate you.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not neutering him right now, so you can get over it. Mm-hmm. And I didn't get him neutered for a little over a year. Mm-hmm. Just let him fully develop because I wanted him to be as big as he could. I wanted to make sure that he was as healthy as he possibly could be because I want him to live the longest that he possibly can.
Yes.
And everybody that gets their dogs neutered, or too early, just do, like you said, just do your research.
Do your research.
Yeah, and I need you to come train my dog not to jump because I messed up, and the reason that he does jump is because I let him when he was little because when I'd get home, he would jump, but he hugs, he wraps his paws around my waist and hugs me, and turns out people don't like that. So
not a giant pit bull either.
Not a 55-pound dog jumping on you, but
and it's solid muscle too.
Yeah.
It's straight muscle. He's yacked. It looks like he takes roids,
muscle and nails.
His back is nuts. But yeah, definitely. It's good to know that there's not a certain age where you can stop learning.
No, definitely come join a CGC class because part of it is sit politely for petting. Mm-hmm. So we'll work on jumping.
It's when anybody walks in.
Okay.
That's when he jumps.
So we can still do private lessons as well.
Beautiful. I love that. So tell everybody how they can find you.
And how to find your lives. Also.
So my lives right now are on Facebook. So it's going to be at Performance Canine Training. On that, it's between 7. Sometimes I have to push it back if I have a lesson. So it'll be 7:30 on Thursday evenings. And then, so Facebook is really where I've spent a lot of time marketing, and now I'm trying to branch out into the other, Instagram and TikTok. Mm-hmm. But Instagram is at performance.canine, and canine is spelled out in all of my social medias. And then I have my website is performanceCaninetraining.com. And then, oh gosh, TikTok is, I think it's just Performance Canine spelled out. There's no punctuation in there. I try to spend a lot of time on Instagram. I'm trying to build up my Instagram right now. Building socials is really hard.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Yeah, Kellie does it for us.
Yeah, it's a lot of
easy.
learning.
Yeah.
A lot of learning and not a lot of reward for a long time.
Oh, I know. We know. It's a
But it'll
struggle.
pay off.
Yeah, it's just sticking with it. So Facebook and Instagram, I'm working on my TikTok.
So can anybody just DM you on any of those sites
Correct,
and
yes.
schedule?
And my email address is on all of those. Call, text as well is available.
Sweet. Well, thank you so much for coming in and talking with us. Thank you for bringing us your beautiful little children.
Thank you.
They are so sweet, and they
were
have
a lot
been
more
so
inquisitive
good.
than I thought.
Well, they're bored.
And she keeps walking up to Tristan like,
She is the
touch
stranger
me.
danger girl, and she likes.
She just walked right
she
up
likes
to me, and I
MP
just
group right here.
grabbed her
She's
head.
like, this
Yeah.
is it.
Well, that means that we're good people.
Yeah, if you got Darla on your side, that means you're definitely good people.
Absolutely.
Because you got to earn her love. I always say you got to
Yeah.
buy
Thanks
her a
for the
couple of
Look at
drinks.
this. Look at this. Look at this little angel.
I know that's not
Comes
Darla.
right up. She's got her head in the chair.
Yeah, that's not my dog.
Love
What
you,
did y'all do?
sweetheart. All right. Well, thank you so much, Noelle, for
Yes,
coming in.
it's
And
fun.
y'all make sure to check out Performance Canine and all of these beautiful animals that she helps train. You're definitely going to help me with Tito because Home Dog needs to stop jumping on everybody. He can still jump on me if he wants. But
okay.
yeah. So yeah, y'all check her out. And thanks again for coming on. We
Thank
really
you, guys.
appreciated having
Yeah.
you here. All right. Bye, y'all.